I lied on my CV. There you go. I've said it. That's the end of my career for sure now. Absolutely. Let's get into it, shall we? Okay, this is my CV as it currently stands. I promise that I did not hastily whip this together for the purposes of this talk. It's got your standard CV stuff. It's my name, which is, relatively accurate. This little profile section here, mostly true, despite, some questionably flowery language. Experience, I'm guilty of some minor embellishments here, but who isn't? Then we get to the skills section down here. Alternative facts. Oh, okay. Enhance, as they say. Let's look at my skills. This is a pretty standard dump of things that I've accumulated over the years. Skills, right? We love them. We like to collect them. Second point here, let's look, okay. Expert in knowledge of Reaper, Ableton Live, Isotope RX, Cubase, Sony SoundForge, and then I go to say certified Pro Tools operator for post-production and music. Okay, let's be honest. I haven't touched these apps in years. Cubase, Sony SoundForge, is all but dead. There are people out there who cling on to it, but it was a wonderful application, but I haven't used it in years, and I no longer have a use for it in my workflow. As for Pro Tools, I am a certified Pro Tools operator. I have a T-shirt that's at least 4 sizes too big for me to prove it. But once again, I haven't used Pro Tools on a day-to-day basis in about 10 years. And I was sorely reminded of this recently when I had to dip into a session and export some audio from a Pro Tools session. And it took me about an hour. I could not do it. It was just, my word, so difficult. Anyway, let's go on. Expert in audio kinetic wise, FMOD, and advanced audio implementation techniques for interactive and XOR media applications. My word, am I trying to, it's a vague catch-all statement of what I've said here. I'm really trying to cram a lot of experience into a very short bullet point here. And I'm not really sure that it's doing any good, but whatever. Let's move on. Working knowledge of advanced development workflows, including Perforce, Git, SVN, Jira, and Handsoft. This is just a brief mention of all the things that, for me, fall into the necessary evil category. I hate all of this stuff, but I have to put it in my CV because, it helps me get my job done. Anyway, skilled in Python, C#, HTML, and CSS. HTML and CSS, irrelevant, arguably. I used to do web design before I became a sound designer. And this is just, these things have just stuck around like a bad smell in my CV. As for Python and C#, I think I would probably rate my skills in that based on trips to Stack Overflow per minute. And currently I'm somewhere up near, 20 trips per minute, right? If we can get that down to about 5, I'd be doing well. But anyway, ha ha ha. All of this is to say that I'm going to use the analogy here that skills are like a trophy cabinet, right? We like to collect them and we like to display them in the trophy cabinet of our CVs or resumes, if you want to call it that. And the thing about trophies is, that they really do need to be dusted off from time to time. And I think I'm guilty, and that my particular trophies have developed a thick layer of dust, and some of them just really need a good seeing to. But the thing is, it is within me. There's something deep within me that just wants to learn, okay? And I go from learning one new skill to another on a week-by-week basis. Just, it depends on what the flavor of the week is for me. It depends on what kind of job I'm doing. Is there anything I can employ in my current workflow that might help me out? And I seem to flit between different skills. And for better or worse, whether intentionally or not, this has made me T-shaped in my distribution of skills. Now, many people may have heard about what T-shaped, skill distribution is. You often hear about it in kind of recruitment. You often hear about it referred to in terms of, software development as well, because it's a desirable thing, right? So for those of you who don't know, a T-shaped skill distribution and somebody would be somebody who has a shallow knowledge in a broad range of areas, but a deep knowledge in one specific area. Okay, so what are the benefits? Allows for kind of better communication and understanding among team members of different disciplines. The ability to contribute to multiple aspects of a project, right? Because you've got all these skills to draw from, and you can say, particularly in smaller teams as well, you can, everybody shares the load across a wider range of things. Excuse me. Broad knowledge allows for a more holistic view of problems encounter. Okay, so problem solving, you have a better overview of the entire project and all of the kind of workings of that project, and it means that you can kind of come at problem solving from a very interdisciplinary way, to use kind of buzzwords, but basically you can find ways of connecting up the dots, as it were, because you've just got a broader knowledge base. And then exposure to multiple fields can lead to faster, more effective learning, as skills and knowledge from one area can enhance understanding in another, right? So for instance, programming, if you learn one programming language, those skills are kind of somewhat easily transferable to other programming languages, and the more you learn, the easier it becomes, right? So all of these things are kind of true. An interesting exercise, though, is to think about what shape of tea best describes your skill specialization, because not all shapes of tea are the same. And if I was to categorize me, I would say this is me. It's quite a misshapen, kind of long and thin on top and quite stubby on the bottom, and don't laugh. So, I've got a somewhat comprehensive sound design expertise. So I can, hang my hat on that. And there's a breadth of knowledge in adjacent areas, right? I know what I'm doing. I know things either side of what this is. And then you've got this kind of decreasing in relevance as they get towards the outer edges, and then maybe on the one of the outer edges here, you have something called maybe basket weaving, for instance, which is a skill that maybe I do have, maybe I don't, but and I've yet to find a way of integrating it into my sound design workflow. But did I actually lie in my CV? Let's just wrap up the whole T-shaped thing. It is a good thing, right? It's a good thing to be T-shaped. But I'm definitely guilty of, maybe a lack of focus sometimes, and learning too much, if that is even a bad thing. But it means that you kind of need to, every so often, think about, the skills that are actually useful in your job. And sometimes you need to dip back in and give them some love, So that's kind of the moral of this particular point. Anyway, so I did actually lie in my CV. Let's just hide behind some stats here. A study by resumebuilder.com found that approximately 55% of Americans have lied on their resumes at least once, with common falsehoods including exaggerations about their years of experience, educational background, and the duration of their previous positions. Another survey by Resume Lab revealed that while 36% openly admit to lying on their resumes, when more specific questions were asked, it was found that up to 56% had stretched the truth in some way. So, answer is yes, but I'm not alone.